crew members would make the best sponsors for anything caffeine related. Hey YouTube world, welcome to my travel channel, Wherever the Wind, and a brand new series called Crew Chronicles, where I'll be talking with you about my life as a crew member. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of an FAQ, the most common questions that I get asked as a crew member. I mean, besides, where's the bathroom? So let's get stuck in. Not a frequently asked question, but probably what you're asking right now. Fair enough. My name is Louise. I come from the land down under. That's Australia, in case you've never heard that song. And I've been spending the last 4 years working as a crew member on different cruise lines. I started out with the Disney Cruise Line, where I was a youth activities counselor. So I looked after the kids ages 3 to 12 in the kids club, and I was on the Disney Wonder. Then I moved on. I jumped ship, not literally, and I went to work for Royal Caribbean Cruises, where I was a cruise entertainment staff, which was basically cruise director staff. I did dance parties, game shows, trivias. I helped out around the ship, but instead of doing bingo, I would do face painting and balloon twisting during the day. And I worked on the Oasis of the Seas and the Symphony of the Seas. That is the biggest cruise ship in the world. Your contract length really depends on your position. When I was with Disney doing youth activities, my contract lengths were 4.5 months. That's pretty standard for the people working in Kids Club across the board. It's a really full-on job, so you really can't have too much of a long contract. But with Royal Caribbean, when I was doing the cruise entertainment staff, my contracts were 7 months. I even worked one that was 8 months. You have the option to extend your contract, and some cruise lines will even give you the option to try and shorten it. But the average length is probably about 6-7 months. Most is probably about 9 months, and 4.5 is probably the shortest you'll get, unless maybe you're a really high-ranking officer or the captain. Similar to contract length, your working hours really depend on your position and what cruise line you're working for. With Disney Cruise Line, average sea day, I would work about 10 to 11 hours. On an average port day, maybe about 8.5, 9 hours. With Royal Caribbean, on an average sea day, I'd work about 8 to 10 hours. And on a port day, I'd work about 4 to 8, maybe 10 hours, depending on what I was scheduled to do that day. There are some positions that are working up to 14 hours a day. I don't know how they do it, but there are rules about how many hours you can have on and how many hours you have to have off in a day. So there are laws in place for that kind of thing. And you are working every day of your contract unless you get sick and the medical center signs you off work, says you are sick, you don't have to come in. You are working every single day of your contract. So it is a lot of working. Nope. Okay. Not really. Yes, we do get the chance to sleep. For me, I finish work. I've already been around people all day and music and noise, and I don't want to go out. So I go to sleep, and I would get 7 hours sleep most nights, at least. Sometimes I'd be able to get more. But there are some people who don't really sleep their whole contracts, and I don't know how they do it. They do their 10 hours work, and then they go out and they party. They find someone to spend the night with. They're at it until like 5 a.m. and then they're good to go for work the next morning. I mean, they're complaining, but they're up and they're there. I think the crew members should come up with some sort of sponsorship for like caffeine companies. I think we'd be just the best sponsors ever. But we do have the opportunity to sleep if we want to. The areas where the crew sleep are pretty cramped. It's a pretty small area. Now, there's definitely a lot of videos out there on YouTube that will show you a little cabin tour from crew members, so go check them out. If you haven't seen them, just type in the search bar. I think I have a picture, so if I do, I'm going to put that in here, but I wasn't really filming when I was on the ships. I didn't really have this in mind, so I don't have like a full cabin tour. But it's a pretty small area. You normally share with one other person. Some people share with like 3 other people. I can't imagine. It must be so cramped. But it was a huge culture shock for me. When I first got on board, I thought, oh my goodness, how are me, my roommate, and our luggage supposed to fit in this room? I can't even get my luggage in the door. But you do get used to it. You do find little tricks to work with the small areas. And I think I've even managed to do yoga in my cabin. Crew members that are like officers, higher ranking officers, or maybe like main stage dancers, singers will get their own cabin, nice cabin, guest cabin. So if you're working on a cruise ship, those are the people that you want to date. So food for crew members is served buffet style. Make no mistake, it is nothing like the guest buffet. Some people would compare it to prison food. I thought it was okay. It's not really catered to Western cultures. You'll find a lot of curries, huge tubs of rice, so it can depend on your taste buds. It depends on the chefs at the time and the management at the time. Sometimes you have really good food managers for the crew, and you'll get specials every day with burgers or pizza, European, lots of different things. I certainly discovered some really cool cuisines that I never tried before, like I discovered fried plantains in the crew mess. But it really just depends. They try to have staples there like salad, pasta, rice. If you're a picky eater, you're probably not going to be impressed by the food at all. There can be a lot of salts. It can be limited choice. But if you're not a picky eater, you'll probably get by okay. I always thought the food was okay. It's fine. This is one of those questions that guests sometimes ask me, and I'm like, I'm here for 7 months. I think I would go insane if I wasn't allowed to get off the ship. Of course, we can get off the ship, and it will depend on your department, your schedule, your manager, depending on how much time you would have. I'd say on average, I'd get 1 to 2 times a week where I'd have the time to get off the ship, and sometimes it's just a quick run to Walgreens or a quick run for some nice lunch. But I'd say maybe 2 times a month, I'd get the chance to have more of a relaxed day where I could go to the beach or go exploring, do a shore excursions. But pretty much all crew members will have time in their schedule to get off in ports. Not really. If you're lucky, you can maybe get to like 3 p.m. embarkation day off. But the last guests get off the ship at 10 a.m. and the new ones are coming on by like 11:30 a.m. So it is a really quick turnaround, and most crew members are busy cleaning up from the last guests and getting the new guests on. It's also a pretty small window to get everyone onto the ship before it's time to sail away. So it's a super busy day, and we don't really get a break in between cruises. Sometimes I get guests who ask me if we get free internet. No, we do not. That is definitely not one of the things that we get included. We have to pay for it on the ship. We do have discounted rates and kind of different package options that are a bit more flexible. And it will depend, again, which ship you're on and which cruise line you're working for, what options you have as far as buying internet. But it is still a little bit expensive, even with the discount. So a lot of crew members will be experts at finding the Wi-Fi in ports. I can definitely tell you every place with free Wi-Fi close to ports in the Caribbean. And you'll notice all the crew members sitting outside the building with their phones. And there's definitely times where all you do when you get off the ship is go for Wi-Fi. Really lucky in getting to sail in Alaska. A lot of crew members will like fight for the ships that go to Alaska. I was lucky I just happened to be on a ship that was going there. So it's really hard for me to put any other place or port above Alaska. So beautiful, and I loved getting to like walk out on the deck and see seals and whales. It was very cool, literally. But on the flip side, the sunny side, I also loved San Juan in Puerto Rico. It was such a great port for a crew member. There was a Walgreens and a CVS right there. There was plenty of restaurants with really nice food. And it was also really great for going exploring and adventuring on the cheap. There was like a fort right there, which I loved taking walks around. The coastline is really pretty. There was a nice beach, very pretty too, and a really cool park. And a nice snorkeling area. I saw like 12 sea turtles in half an hour. And my favorite thing was to get up really early in the morning and jog 45 minutes through the back streets to get to Denny's. For me, I love to travel, so obviously it's travel. It's a great way to be able to travel and see the world without being totally financially irresponsible. I can save money and travel at the same time. Also, it's really hard to find a full-time entertainment job in Australia, particularly if you're like me and you're not specifically trained as like a dancer or a singer or an actor. You just kind of like doing a variety of those things and just being, I don't know, an amusing person who likes to talk on a microphone. It's pretty hard to find that kind of job in Australia. So I like that I can go on cruise ships and do what I love for the majority of my time. Alrighty, that is it for today. That is the most commonly asked questions that I get as a crew member. And I was going to put this in my intro, but I forgot and I don't feel like reshooting it. So I will just mention, yeah, I know my accent doesn't really sound strongly Australian. I'm from Australia, I promise. So stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be releasing more of these videos talking about life as a crew member and different aspects of it. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.